Sometimes we can make approaching God more complicated than it is. Because of Christ and our faith in Him, we can now come boldly and confidently into God's presence with unveiled access.
Hey everybody, it's Estina. So you might be wondering, what is this all about? Well, I am currently working on a project that I'm hoping to have released, I am going to have released within the next few weeks. If you know me, you know that I am passionate about worship. I love being in the presence of God. It's my safe place. Like, if I could dwell there for the majority of my life, I would do that. I grew up in the church. That was the beginnings of my encountering God. I have very vivid memories of being in His presence, either at church or in my own personal time at home. My pastor first put me up on the piano when I was only 12 years old. Even though I had been classically trained since I was 4 years old, I was completely unfamiliar with playing for church. I didn't know how to play church music. I didn't know how to play with both hands. Well, I knew how to play classically, but I didn't know how to play church music at all. Had no point of reference for it. If you're a part of my church family, you know that I played the melodies with one hand, my right hand. That was it. I cried every Sunday because I didn't want to be up there. I thought that it was a mistake. I was like, why on earth would you pick me? I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm really glad that I wasn't allowed to quit because it was in those settings and it was in that process of starting pretty much from nothing that I learned the presence of God. I really appreciate that I had a pastor who cultivated an atmosphere where we could learn the presence of God and know how to respond to Him. Now, if you would have told me that that would have escalated into me becoming a worship leader, that wasn't anywhere in my books. Like, it wasn't even something I aspired to be. I was very content and still am, and I always say this, I'm very content to stay behind the piano and mind my own business. I can back everybody else up, but this whole being out in front of people, pass. I would much rather let myself out in the privacy of my own home. But God, like I said, God had other plans, and now I've been a worship leader for 12 years, almost 12 years, give or take a few. While it has been trying, while I have had many mistakes and failures, God has been gracious, and through the process of being a part of music ministry and worship leading, it's in those moments that I have learned His presence and learned how to hear His voice. I have learned a lot in submitting to this process. I have learned a lot, not just in my own personal time, but you learn a lot when you have to involve other people, when you're responsible for setting atmospheres, when you're responsible for cultivating an atmosphere where people can encounter God. I don't believe that it is my responsibility to lead people into the presence of God. My only responsibility is to make them aware of His presence and to teach them how do you respond to His presence. Now, I don't consider myself to be an expert or someone who has nailed it and got it absolutely perfect. If you ask me, I had probably made more failures or had more failures than wins as a worship leader, as a musician, as a psalmist, just as a person. But God has been extremely gracious, and the beauty of all of it is that no matter where I have found myself, He has never kicked me out of His presence. Even when I was at my lowest points, when I was too afraid or too ashamed to approach Him, He always welcomed me with love into His presence. It is true that when we draw near to Him, He draws near to us. And He has made that possible through His Son, Jesus Christ. And that is what Unveiled Access is all about. What would our lives look like if we took full advantage of the access God has given for us to dwell in His presence? I do hope you will join me as we explore what it looks like to live with unveiled access to God the Father. Until next time.